And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, where we get your podcasts on the latest Pop Culture Cosmos. I go ahead and share my thoughts with my latest thoughts on the Thunderbolts. Oh, I know. They call it the New Avengers now, so I got to call it the New Avengers. Plus, we also talk about the huge hit, surprise of the year in Sinners, and what is Xbox thinking? All this good stuff they're doing, yet what mistake did they make last week that has us scratching our heads? We go ahead and talk about that and more on the latest Pop Culture Cosmos on YouTube and also wherever you get your audio podcasts. Don't forget as well, during the course of the playoffs, I leave open. Yeah, I know. Right, JSJ? And what a marketing tactic indeed. I saw Sebastian Stan putting over the new Avengers posters over the Thunderbolts posters in LA. I thought that was, kind of gimmick, but kind of gives the movie away. But you know what? Hey, if it's going to lead to bigger sales in the second week, there you go. But if you're watching right now, the final 2.5 minutes of the Lakers Fast Break playback channel, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, you're watching Golden State with Buddy Hield just hitting a three, actually leading without Stephen Curry for most of the game, who's out with a hamstring tweak, strain, whatever you want to say, as Minnesota has played and shot terribly. Where was this against the Lakers? I tell you, as they are leading Minnesota in Minnesota 96-84. So if you want to check out the playoff action, go on over to playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break, and I'll try to have it up for as many games as I can right there on the playback channel as well. But wanted to go ahead and give a big shout out to Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, he's been doing some good 2K streams, so go ahead and check out his channel on YouTube. Empire Jeff TV, talking about the Lakers and Dodgers. He and Joe Soro on The Experiment, talking about the Lakers and Dodgers. Go ahead and check them out. Then also as well, don't forget John Costa. My man John Costa, Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. He just dropped a great new video, really quick. It's bite-sized for you on the possibilities for the Lakers at center, because I know that's what you guys are going to be talking about, centers to start off with. So go ahead and hear his thoughts on the available centers that he thinks the Lakers might be interested in. And that's on Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner. Yeah, it's only about 10 minutes long. Yeah, really quick watch. And I hope you guys get a chance to check it out indeed. But yes, go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe to us here. It really helps out the channel. And also as well, become a member today for just $2.99 a month. The best value in podcasting, a membership program right here with the Lakers Fast Break. You actually got my thoughts ahead of anyone else, if you remember, on review of Thunderbolts / The New Avengers. So go ahead and check it out and become a member today right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcasts. Well, I'm trying to get the guys to come on the show. I'm trying to see if I can get them going because I'm typing right now. Come on, guys, get on the show here. But if that's the case and they don't come, that's fine, because I've got you here, you, the audience, because today is all about you. That's right. If you saw the JPEG at the beginning of the show, if you saw the JPEG for the show, the advertising for the show, you are in command. You are there at Lakers headquarters in El Segundo. You're right there at the UCLA Health Center. You are in the boardroom. You've got Jeannie's attention. You've got the entire boardroom at your attention because you have replaced Rob Pelinka for this summer, and you are going to go ahead and make the decisions. And I'm going to say whether or not I like it, whether or not I don't like it, or if it can or cannot be done. So we'll go ahead and talk about that on today's show because you are in charge of the Los Angeles Lakers. So we'll see what happens. Gustavo, I don't know if Giannis's wife is a Lakers fan. I do know that, Giannis's brother did play for Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, a thinly veiled attempt to try and get Giannis over here at that time because his brother was actually not really that good. But, that didn't work out then. Could have worked out this time around. We'll have to go ahead and discuss your thoughts on exactly who you think should be part of the Lakers and what moves should the Lakers make, because you are the GM for now, right now. So we'll go ahead and Corbina. Yeah, we know Corbina. We've already talked about that on the show. That Rob has said his focus, but what is your focus for the Lakers? This is not about what Rob wants, because we all heard that on the exit interviews. Yes, we understood that he gave already the farm in a way as far as everything, not keeping anything under wraps about his targets in the offseason. I know it's pretty obvious. You could tell what the Lakers' needs are, but you really just don't have to blurt it out like that. But this is about you. Nick, you can even throw in your Kelly Olynyk stuff today. And then we'll go ahead and discuss that on the show as well. So it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Gerald Glassford. So we will start with free agents. No trades yet. That comes later on. We'll go ahead and talk trades here in a sec, as it's the Golden State Warriors with 11-point lead, 46 seconds left. So that game is not yet entirely decided, but almost, yes. But yes, Nick will even let you do the Kelly Olynyk stuff today. But that's the trade because he still has a year on his contract. So I've got everything ready. I've got the list of free agents. I've got also as well Sport Track ready. I've got Sport Track ready to go ahead and help me out as far as any contract questions you guys have. So we will go ahead and be able to get that going right here in just a second. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts, guys, first off on free agents. So let's look over the free agent list here. Possible free agents, whether or not they are a free agent outright, a unrestricted free agent, or if they are a team option or a player option. So we will go ahead and go over that on today's program. First and foremost, I want to thank you again. It is Gerald Glassford. Truly appreciate you joining us. All right. So with that in mind, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pop up here. First off, I'm going to pop up Bobby Marks. Again, I showed this the other day, so I hope you got a chance to see it. But if you didn't, it's on Twitter. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, as we will go in and I'll just try to see if I can zoom it up. And no, it's not zooming up. So we will go and just leave it right here. What are the Lakers' needs? What are the Lakers' wants? What are the Lakers' choices as far as our ability to what they can do this offseason? So you're in the boardroom and you're looking over said stuff as far as what exactly is available to the Lakers. And right now, your starting five, according to Bobby Marks, is Luka, Austin, LeBron, Rui. He left the center position blank. Two-way players are Trey Jameson. I don't think he added in there Koloko. He should have added in there Koloko as well. Oh, he put that as a free agent. Koloko's going to be a free agent as far as that's concerned, according to his free agent. So you can do what you want on that. Gabe Vincent, Jordan Goodwin is a team option. Bronny James is still on a contract. He's got 2 years plus an option, I believe a team option at the end of his contract. Dalton Connect on a standard rookie contract. Shake Milton is also a non-guaranteed. So you can use that in a trade, just to let you know. It is not the largest contract world, but is a non-guaranteed contract if the Lakers decide not to go ahead and and put it out there, but you could also be utilized in a trade. Dorian Finney-Smith is a player option. Maxi Kleber has 1 more year, and Jared Vanderbilt has, I believe, 3 more years as well. So there you have it. There are the Lakers' needs right there. So get that off there. So we are going to go into who are the free agents to be, or individuals that could be a free agent. We'll go into that right now. Joe, get on the show right now. You know I was going to do it. I gave you plenty of warning, so get on the show when you can. Legend, you are close to. Yes, you have won it. Congratulations to Legend. They have won Golden State 99-88. Although Butler looks like he's limping, and you've got Stephen Curry with a very concerning injury there. So we'll see what happens with that. But is, of course, the Lakers fast break. So we have LeBron James, who has a player option right there, and that is for right there. Let me go ahead and look. He is for $50 million, a little over $50 million for him if he decides to pick that up. Fred VanVleet, that is a team option for $42 million, 42.8. Now with Fred VanVleet, do you pick that up if you're Houston so you can utilize that in a trade for a certain Antetokounmpo? We'll have to go ahead and wait and see. Or do you value him at $40 million for what he gives you in return? Kyrie Irving, he has got a player option as far as him deciding whether or not he wants to renegotiate on a contract. Then you have James Harden, who is probably the first of the real UFAs that are out there. Chris Middleton, Julius Randle. That's also another interesting one as well. I know that Brian has a lot of thoughts on that. John Collins, you see, Brooke Lopez, Clint Capella. This is based off the salary structure, what they got, what they're going to get, what they got paid. So Clint Capella, Bruce Brown, that's what he got paid last year. So LeBron James, he got paid $50 million. He's going to have a player option for in and around that much, a little bit more actually. Malcolm Brogdon, you see there as well. Miles Turner, he will obviously be one of the big unrestricted free agents. It's not the best class in the world. So I ask you guys with that, let's start with you guys. All right. Let's start with you. Junior, what's up? I see. I can't say that. I will say let's go Lakers instead because this is a Lakers channel, and I'll leave it at that. But hey, they needs to yes, Junior Santo needs to leave. But yes, let's get to that as far as the trades a little later in the show. We're going to start off with your thoughts on free agents. Supposing the Lakers have their mid-level or maybe a little bit of room on there, who are the free agents that might stand out in your determination first before we get into trades, before we get into anything really that extensive on trades? Who are the free agents that catch your eyes? Yes, I did, Jalen. I watched the Pacers game. It was funny because I had it up on the playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break channel. And Vari, who is a vaunted Pacers fan, was watching the channel running the Joe's channel, the Joe Sorrell Experiment channel, instead of watching the actual game he needed to watch because he thought that game was all over when the Cleveland Cavaliers were up by 20. And little did we know, we got one of the greatest comebacks so far in this year's playoffs, capped off by Halliburton. Great play. And it's funny because I was getting on Vari's case too, Sports Baby's case too, because he had been really hard on Halliburton. Halliburton does some things that kind of irritate you from time to time in game one, but you know what? You got to give him credit. He came down the stretch and was the clutch player that I wish Luka or LeBron had been for us coming down the stretch, and he was that guy. And you got to give him credit for it. So they go back to Indiana up 2-0 in a I guess a thing, something that was you didn't think was going to happen, but it did happen indeed. And here today to go ahead and rate and evaluate your free agent and trades, signings and trades and all that good stuff. He's a good man indeed. It is, of course, Joe Sorrell. Joe, Good to have you here. Mission 24, I'm glad you didn't get swept away in the tornado. He Oh, Hernan, there you go. All right, that's the way it is. That's You have to leave Vegas with a profit, and I'm glad you did. You got the best of Vegas, and I'm glad you did. I wish you would have said hello. I would have been glad to drive up there and say hello to you, but no worries. I'm glad you got out with a profit. But it is Joe Soro. Joe, good to have you here. Your thoughts? And Doomer, please take this kind of seriously. I know that's not in your usual mind and intellect to take anything seriously, Doomer. But if you want to be a part of the chat and be a part of, try to go ahead and think of this in a serious fashion. So, with that, Joe, we're going to start off the free agent market. You heard Rob Pelinka say what he says. You're in there in the trenches at El Segundo. These guys are now picking and saying who they want to pick. The first one I'm going to go ahead and say is Mission 24 raised his hand up in the boardroom and said, Joe, I'm thinking about Steven Adams because he might be available in free agency. Rebounds.
If he can stay healthy, then he would be a huge asset and would help immediately. There's a real possibility there, sure. It just depends on
How much would you spend on him?
I would do a 2-year, $20 million contract.
Sounds fair to me. That actually would be a good deal for what he does and what he brings. Are you concerned a little that he was best accentuated with another playing well alongside another big man? In fact, the stats prove that out, like him and Şengün. Are you concerned that you don't have a Lakers currently that may be able to fit as well as, let's say, Şengün did alongside Adams?
I don't think that matters. Not with this particular setup with the Lakers. What the Lakers are going to need to do is they're going to need to go back to some basic basketball instead of the continuous ISO ball with players that are not capable of doing that anymore. Austin being one, he will not be effective in the playoffs playing ISO ball. There's going to need to be some changes there. If you want him to do that, then you're going to need to make sure he comes off the bench and works the second unit against the opposition. LeBron doesn't seem to think on his feet at the end of games. You'll hear me say this over and over again because I want everyone to hear it over and over again because it's exactly what happened over and over again. So the capability of LeBron at the end of an 82-game season into the playoffs is his inability to finish and to create space or to get to the basket or to inbound the ball have become a problem. So where does someone like Steven Adams help there? Well, during a 48-minute game, you obviously don't have to worry about the rebounding as much as you did this year. You'll have someone that can actually take up some space as well as contribute to some form of basic basketball, which is box out and get the ball when there's a shot missed. Now, where he'll be a liability is on the offense, which now becomes even more importance for that Luka. That Luka is indeed the number one option, and the guy that's going to be needed to get free to best use his talents. We discussed how during the year that Luka was getting trapped virtually every time he crossed half court after teams started to adjust to how the Lakers were playing ball. JJ did not adjust to that. He never adjusted to that. His solution was to kind of fight through it, but it wasn't smart basketball in the end because you didn't allow any space, and because you didn't allow any space for your number one guy, you ended up never really being able to rely on him when it mattered, and that needs to change. I think there needs to be more structure in the offense. I think ball movement needs to be a priority.
Mhm.
and of course, getting a roster that can do some fundamental work in terms of getting to spots when you need them to get to spots, uh, making sure your main guys are getting to their main spots, their positive spots, and then use your assets up front. If you are to get a center that is viable, let him get an opportunity to make the right plays should there be missed shots or putbacks.
Nick T says it doesn't matter who the Lakers get, being the guy in the room that I guess is the guy that everybody looks at and say, thank you for being a downer. It won't matter with Luca's ISO offense and zero defense. Warriors are a perfect example. Effort on defense matters.
Hmm.
Thank you for the super chat, by the way.
Well, everyone's a prisoner of the moment. All of a sudden, now the Warriors are the epicenter of team basketball and doing everything right. Let the series play out. Let the series play out, and understand that the Timberwolves are. It goes to show you how bad the Lakers were that the Timberwolves couldn't beat a Steph Curry-less team at home. The Lakers, I'm trying to think of another example of where they are right now. The Lakers are going to have to figure out how to make one, either Luka or LeBron, valuable off the ball. The reason why the Lakers played so well once Luka got a little bit of energy under his belt after the trade was they were playing stout defense as a team, way above their heads, to the point where we were all surprised. At least I was. We were surprised that they had that ability. Team defense. They were, I believe, ranked, I think, second at some point. I think after, what was it, 8 or 9 games playing together, that 8-game winning streak, they were killing it. I didn't know whether they would sustain it or not. I didn't have any assessment on it. I just was surprised that they were even doing it. And doing it for 8 games was pretty damn good. But they ran out of gas because they don't have any depth. And pressure tends to make you more tired as well. And they adjusted. They adjusted in trapping Luka. If Luka is such a shitty player to some of you guys out there because he doesn't play apparently one side of the ball, although I did see some really good defense every now and then with Luka. It wasn't like he was all shit. Then why did the team go downhill once Luka kind of sort of got neutralized? And why aren't we ever seeing why do we continue to see mistakes being made by one player, yet you keep moving your assessments to someone else who had nothing to do with it? I'm talking about crucial mistakes in important moments. I don't remember Luka making those mistakes. If he's not standing in front of his guy and getting burned, okay, nothing I haven't seen before the last 7 years of his career. So what is it? What exactly is it that you are hiding? If you want to put blame because that's all you know how to do, then go ahead and keep doing it, but you're going to look like a fool because you're gonna change it around to fit your narrative. The narrative is a narrative. It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. I'm about the reality of the result. And the reality of the result is a continuous issue of bad decision making when it matters most. And this, I feel like I keep repeating myself here. I got to just get a broken record and just keep playing it over and over again. These issues were here before Luka Doncic wore a Laker uniform. Now, I'm gonna be very clear on this. I want everyone to pay attention. These issues were here before Luka Doncic wore a Laker uniform. I want to know why you think that we need to be on that above what's been going on for a while. You got to make that make sense now. you have some time now to talk or to answer
Because
that
even
question.
with AD, the Lakers were still one of the worst rebounding teams in the league.
Correct.
So
Correct. I want to
AD
know.
didn't solve the problems.
I've got this pop cover. I got this pop mic
The pop filter,
so that I
yes.
can really, really, really go off when I need to. And right now, I'm not having a good sports day. Today, the Dodger game really fucking pissed me off. And I haven't really been feeling very calm. I don't like losing. You all know that. I hate losing. So I want to understand something here. How is it that the same problems existed for years before Luka came? I want to know how this is a Luka problem.
Good point. Good point indeed.
No one. Okay. Sports baby, I'm glad you brought that up because this is something I wanted to bring up as well. From the last couple shows, had a thought and I thought it made sense. You're only as good as what your value is to the collective, correct? What is LeBron's value in the NBA right now in a trade? If he is so good. Who would trade for LeBron James right now? I want to hear. I gave you guys 2 questions now that you have to answer. I'm waiting.
Despite the fact he has a no trade clause. Yeah.
Let's say he didn't. Let's say he didn't have a no. Let's say he didn't have a no trade clause. Let's say there is. I want to know what his market is right now. No, I'm not getting called out, Jay. I'm not. I don't feel like I'm getting called out. I feel like I'm being. The responses to what I'm saying are wrong. There is no I'm right. Not because I want to be right, because it is. I want to know why the hell these problems were going on before 77 showed up. I want to know why these problems keep showing up when JJ was here, when Darvin Ham was here, when Frank Vogel was here after 2020, because it seems like 2020 is the anomaly. Where? I want to know why these things happened before the people you were blaming for it. I want to know. And then we can start talking about roster construction. Because I told you guys in 2 shows already, this thing doesn't work well until you make a decision on what your identity is. You cannot have 2 quarterbacks on the same team. When you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. I want to know when the Lakers are going to commit to the next phase of their title run. That's the first. I want that answered first. Once that's answered, we know that there's another year left for Mr. LeBron James, and then we're going to probably have to hold on a little bit. Maybe they can get into the playoffs next year, maybe make a second-round run, maybe a WCF run. Sure. Maybe if they get the right guys this summer, sure. But are they going to win? Are they going to go in as a favorite? Are they going to build around a philosophy that's not all-encompassing like LeBron James is? No, I will not blame Luka Doncic, Lakers empire, fake-ass Dodgers empire asshole. You don't think I know who you are? I'm not going to blame Luka because these fucking problems were here before Luka came. Are you guys fucking stupid or deaf? If you're stupid, I'll give you a chance. If you're deaf, then you probably shouldn't be listening because you can't listen.
So let me throw this out to you. Bruno and a couple other suggestions.
I want to know. No, I want to know. Answer the question. I've been waiting for the chat to answer the question. Why were these problems happening before 77 showed up? Answer the question. Answer it. I want to know. I'm waiting. Because I just got an answer. You don't blame Luka for. I'm asking you why. Why were these problems here before? Because you know they were. I'm not talking to you, Joker. I'm talking to other people. You know why Luka don't close out, Doobie? Because maybe he didn't get the fucking ball. He didn't get the ball once at the end of games this year as a Laker. Why? Answer the question. You guys are still fucking around. Answer the question. You know why you can't answer the question? Because I'm fucking right. Because the shit was going on before with different coaches, with different rosters, with a big, without a big. What is it? This team, this whole thing is a fucking jerk off right now because no one has a clue what the fuck you're talking about. I'll tell you who does, though. I do. I know what the fuck is going on. I watch these games. I know what's going on. Now, when you look at it from a organizational standpoint, when you're running a business, I guess I understand that they still want the jersey sales and the notoriety because LeBron is his own solar system. But we're on a podcast here, and we can talk shit. We don't have the responsibilities of commerce with the Lakers. So if we're just talking roster construction, if we're just talking about how this team needs X, Y, and Z or A, B, and C to compete for a championship, well, here we are. And what hasn't worked for the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? And what is the continuous issue? Solve the problem. Sometimes you got to gut the motherfucker to start over. That's what you got to do. Doesn't matter how good the stats are if the result is an L. Still haven't heard one motherfucker say one answer with this. So I know, I know there is no answer because there isn't an answer because what I'm telling you is the truth. We've watched every fucking game the last 5 years. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I know what I'm looking at. And this isn't making an assessment or a prediction. This has nothing to do with predictions or whether a GM sucks ass or whether they're great. Has nothing to do with any of that. You can be wrong on that, eat shit, and then take it or cry about it. And we did do that. We did. I did. I was calling Jeannie and Rob every name in the book. But guess what? They punched me right in the face. February 1, they punched me right in the face. I'm like, oh, shit. All right. Okay. You got me. I was wrong. Here we are. But there's one thing that I'm not wrong on, and that is no closing when it matters. And this is year after year after year. And it's time to change. It's time to go on. After 2026, you know where I stand on that. As far as what they're going to do this summer, they're going to do their best with the amount of money they can spend, which, by the way, it ain't that much, unless they get a huge assist from someone, some team. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know. We're going to be there to watch it.
So let us continue as far as your thoughts on this, guys out there and gals. Free agents. We already talked about one possible free agent destination. Another that has been mentioned by Bruno.
How is he supposed to fix the clutching part if he doesn't get the ball? How? Is he supposed to voodoo the ball into the hole? A lot of questions tonight.
A lot of questions indeed. But again, this is about trying to see what these guys, very opinionated guys and gals, are as far as.
Hold on. Let me because Doobie's a made guy here. Let me give him some attention here. Joe, just angry fan that never talks about basketball. Just blame game. I'm over it. I asked you a question, and you're not answering it. You're getting defensive. Hit a nerve, hit a target. I got you. And I got most of you motherfuckers. You too, Nick. If you think Luka's overrated, then you know nothing about basketball. You know shit. Nothing. Y'all know deep down what needs to happen. I don't know what the fixation on this individual statistic thing is. It drives me up the fucking wall. I'm going to burn it out of everything. If it means losing people on here, fuck it. I'll gain people at the same time, by the way. We already have. I'm not going to lay off, guys. I'm telling you right now, I don't lay off in anything. Nothing. When it's right, it's right. You guys have heard this quote in movies. I don't know if you've heard it in your real life. What's right is right. What's right now is it's time to switch the philosophy. And you build it now. You start it this summer. Because, no one expected what happened this year. No one did. I told you, God didn't even know this was going to happen. So you dealt with it. We have it on record. Hey, man, if we can make a run, great. But we know that it's a little handicapped because they gave up a very, very big part of their team that did play some defense, that did rebound, and now they got to go find those people. They couldn't do it during the season.
So we mentioned Steven Adams and got through one option that is possibly available out there. Another that was mentioned by Bruno and a couple others out there, and if you did mention him, pat yourself on the back. Possibility out there for the Lakers. Now, remember, Joe, the available money for free agents. The Lakers have a tax mid-level at $5.6 million, and they have a veteran minimum. So with that, what are your thoughts on Clint Capella as far as still 31 years old? He will be coming up next season. He did kind of drift away finally in the Atlanta Hawks rotation. Okongwu finally passed him up after several years of holding him off as far as for that starting spot. But at his peak, he was a double-double guy and a lob threat, and also as well a rim protector. Your thoughts on utilizing him with that mid-level, or trying to see if his career needs a rebound and maybe offering him the veteran's minimum?
Well, anybody that can play up front for the veteran minimum or the MLE is going to be a win. Anything better than what we have now. Steven Adams is not a possibility if he's demanding a $10 million contract.
Yeah, he'll that somebody else will sign him if that's the case.
So the Lakers may have to make a choice. I did like John Costa's first trade thought. I just thought the details were too heavy on the Lakers side, giving up I think he had 4 draft swaps. I go, no draft swaps if you're giving up AR. AR, despite his issues in the playoffs, is still depth that you're giving away at $14 million. He outplays his $14 million. And if that means there's a way to keep him, and then maybe if you have enough starters that come through, you can rely on him off the bench, which is ultimately
for Kessler.
For Kessler, yes. I would if you're gonna do the swaps, you can't include. The Lakers cannot mortgage their future again. You did that for AD. It got you a title. Cool. You already got Luka. You don't need to do all that. Plus, I'd rather wait for something bigger. If you're gonna get Kessler, I don't mind the first round pick. If it's just AR, okay, maybe that makes sense. But I'm not gonna give him all the draft capital. It's either draft capital with, maybe another filler here and there, and I think Danny Ainge would want that anyways. His obsession with draft picks is an easy kind of string to pull him on.
So with that, again, big guys, obviously a need for the Lakers, but also as well, what are your thoughts on what Rob had said? And is this discussion in the boardroom with these guys and gals in the chat bring in there as far as also a two-way wing with what's available in a limited free agent market that's out there this year? How realistic is it for the Lakers to bring in someone that might fill at least even some resemblance of a need on that end, especially for what the Lakers have? Or is that something the Lakers can actually get or obtain in a trade?
The Lakers have enough expiring contracts, friendly contracts even, to definitely have some room to make some calls and not have the other side laugh at them. Even if it's for a superstar, even if it's for multiple effective players. With the way the salary cap, the advantage now, this is where it kind of reverses a little bit. The issues we've had with the salary cap, the aprons, the new collective bargaining agreement. Now, in this situation, we could have the advantage because of the expiring money. So if there's a team out there that has some talent that needs to maybe downgrade, that doesn't want to get close to the aprons, whatever. Now you have some room to say, hey, look, what do you want? We got $40 million right now that we can throw at you to get rid of some of your contracts, but we do like this particular talent that you have that's making a good amount of money. We think he can help us. Yeah, sure, let's do it. You know, the contract doesn't run out for 3 years. We get out of this after 1 year. Yeah, that would be probably the way to go.
Because for me, it's just not about the rim protection. It's about rebounding. Because, you know, Claxton's name, Nick Claxton, has been mentioned by someone in the chat also as well. You know, Stone Hansen really has an affinity for Nick Claxton. For what he makes, I don't think it's a wise investment because the fact is, A, he doesn't rebound well, and B, he's a terrible free thrower. In fact, as I point out every time out, in the playoffs, when it matters the most, he holds an NBA playoff record at 0-10 from the free throw line. So yes, lob threat, great, but rim protector, pretty good. But as a rebounder, as a big body, those things are kind of suspect for a guy that's making around $20 million already, Joe.
Beggars can't be choosers. If you have to get Nick Claxton to fill a huge need for your team, you deal with his deficiencies as well.
I think that would be a mistake, terrible mistake.
There's no choice. This is not something that you really will have a choice in a lot of ways. I don't think they're going to go after him anyways, but if it's between having no center or having to play LeBron or DFS at center, then you make that trade no matter what.
Joe, he can't guard Jokic. You seen the legs
on
that guy?
Gerald, it doesn't matter. He's better than what we have now. And the money that I told you about, the 40 mil, most of those guys didn't do jack shit. So he's making like 25 mil. He's making 25 mil. Then you got somebody that at least can help you a little bit more than what you got now.
So you're willing to put 10% of your payroll on him?
What do you want to give that money to someone who can't do shit? At least Claxton would have been a viable starting center. He would have started every game, and he would have probably finished it.
No, you can't finish because he can't shoot free throws.
He would have finished on this team.
He can't shoot.
There's no choice.
You hack a Claxton. You got
okay. You hack a Claxton. Okay, fine. Where do the Lakers really suck at the end of the games? Below 2 minutes, right? Right? Usually, they turn into a bunch of freaking daisies. 2 minutes under, right? So you're not having to worry about them doing a hack of Claxton under 2 minutes anyways. What you need right now is you need somebody that has a body that can at least do something while they're trying to run a play. I don't know what else to tell you. There's no choice.
Zubac is a better defender on Jokic. It's not even close. Yeah, Claxton, again, if you want to spend 10 and
what does that have to do with the discussion? What does that have to do with the Lakers' capability of doing anything?
I'm talking to Joe because he's saying that Claxton is fine as a defender. I don't think so. I really don't think so.
You're not looking at this in the right area. It doesn't matter what the fuck he is, other than the fact that he's a viable center that the Lakers didn't have. He's better than what we had. And maybe we win in Minnesota with that. Maybe we go into the fourth quarter with a 15-point lead because he's playing 20 minutes a game.
But he's 10 times more expensive than what Hayes cost So you would have to restructure your entire roster to support the $20 million that it costs.
Okay, I gotta say this again. I feel like I'm just repeating myself for no reason now. Okay,
Well, again, you have a certain salary cap, Joe.
Maxi
That you have
Kleber,
to,
what the fuck did he do?
nothing, Joe. He was
What did
throwing
Gabe
on the
Vincent
train.
do? Those two make $22.5 million each between each other. What the fuck did they do? So imagine flipping that, adding maybe another $2.5 million to some whatever asshole we put in there.
You'd have to sweeten.
Now you
well,
have
if you're,
one
yeah,
guy
you'd have
for
to
that money that can help you. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at this any other way than dealing with the setup that they have been dealt with. It's not. I wish it was like baseball. I wish it's not. They have to work under these parameters that has to be perfect. That's what it is, right? That's how the NBA has structured this. It's essentially the closest to a hard cap that you can make it.
Okay.
No, Doobie, I'm not sitting here trying to be right. I'm trying to get this thing done in a way that makes sense. If you want to continue to watch somebody choke year in and year out, game in and game out, that's your business. I fucking hate losing. And I hate losing when there's no clutchness involved too. That fucking drives me up the wall, especially when you keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Has nothing to do with fucking whether I'm right. Or maybe I am right. You know why? Lakers are sitting at home jerking off right now. While a Steph Curry-less Golden State team goes into Minnesota and whoops their ass. What does this have to do with me being right? I'm telling you what this team needs to do. You know why I'm telling you what they need to do? Why they need to do this? Because the shit they're doing ain't working. There's a cause and an effect. And now I'm telling you the causes and what it's affected, winning. How do you change that to winning? Oh, Zubac can guard Jokic. Who gives a fuck? We're not going to get Zubac. So why is that even a discussion? And why is Jokic all of a sudden in every discussion? What do you want me to say about that? No one can guard him anyways.
Somebody in the comments
This team,
was talking about
I know, I'm talking to them. The focus is off. You guys are all in your own world. I'm focused on the Lakers. I'm focused on what we've watched. And the results from what we've watched. I got better things to do in my time if I want to be right. I don't need to get on some podcast, talk to a bunch of strangers about I got to be right with a bunch of people that I don't even fucking know. We're talking Lakers. We're talking solutions, right? How are they going to help each other this summer? Well, this is how you start. First and foremost, in my view, you got to make sure you take care of the guy you got February 1, because that's your future. That's your future. That is first and foremost. And what does that mean? There's a couple things it means. It means who are you committing to? Because as long as you got two quarterbacks on this team, it's probably not going to work. Especially now.
So if you're saying it's not going to work, then what do they talk about it as far as setting us up for the offseason? Because in El Segundo coming up, they'll want to go ahead and try and build a contender. This team won 50 games, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like this team was a lottery team. But you're saying that if they don't get rid of LeBron, or LeBron just doesn't ride off into the sunset, that the Lakers don't have a chance to improve on that 50-win season.
I don't give a shit about 50-win season. I don't care about any of that stuff. All I know is when I watch them
or
play,
making them a viable. How about this rephrasing?
They'll be viable, but the reality is they're not going to win a championship next year either. As long as LeBron is on this team, taking up all that cap space, you're never going to really build around the necessary parts to compete. Younger players that are more conducive to the skill set of Luka, who is your star. maybe being able to open up a possibility of getting another star. You're not going to get that because LeBron has no trade value. Even if he didn't have a no trade clause, he has no trade value. There is no one, not Milwaukee, not Denver, not Orlando, no one will trade any talent to the Lakers for LeBron James. And if you think I'm lying there, then you know nothing. You know dick. You know how to be defensive about what you imagine. This is not imagination. This is reality, what I'm saying. It's reality. The reality is LeBron James has a year left on his contract. Make sure that's it. Make sure you take control of that, Rob Pelinka. When I see that he doesn't do a 1+1, when I see that, I hear that the Lakers are going to let this ride. He'll opt in. Obviously, he's not going to say no to his $50 million. There's no way he's going to say no. I mean, I guess there's a small chance he might want to retire, but it's just not likely. And then maybe he'll announce he's going to retire. I don't know about that either.
So with that, go ahead.
Once that's done, again, I'm going to have to keep repeating this because it just seems like this. It just goes in one ear and goes out the other. Once that's done, then you can really focus on what kind of roster you want to build. The Lakers are going to need probably 2, possibly 3 off seasons to get into title contention for the long haul. And by then, you're going to have Luka at 29. Well, he'll be 28, and then he'll turn 29 at that on that after the 27 summer. And for me, that's prime age. That's the prime area. That's when Michael Jordan won his first title. That's when Shaq won his first title. 28, you've heard me say this, G. 28 to 32 is that sweet spot for a lot of these guys. So now imagine now Luka come into his own. They build a team around him. And I don't think the Lakers have built that patience anyways. I think it might be done quicker, especially if they can get a superstar. But I'm going at it in an average way. Like if it takes them a minute and they don't get like a Giannis or a bona fide second star. I'm thinking maybe they'll get 2 really, really, really good players, something like that.
So I want to ask you this real quick because Joe E., a new viewer, thank you for coming over here to the Lakers Fast Break. Hopefully you'll be able to stay here for a while and like and subscribe and all that.
Doobie,
good stuff.
you're out of your fucking mind, dude. You're out of your freaking mind. You actually think LeBron has trade value? You actually think LeBron has trade value? Who? Who would trade for LeBron James right now and give up assets for LeBron James right now? Who?
So let me ask you this.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that, brother. This is how it's supposed to work.
Much appreciated. So on that, before I give you
No,
answer.
No, Doobie. I want to know who. Give me scenarios. Sorry, G. I can't do it. I can't. I gotta. They haven't answered my first question. They haven't answered my second question, and they know who they are. Okay.
Okay.
I want to answer. No one's answering anything because there isn't an answer. Because you know that they can't. You know it won't work because it's not working. Charlotte. So Charlotte would go and trade LaMelo Ball for LeBron for 1 year.
For salaries. That's why.
For salaries. Why?
Because Nick says just for money purposes. Just
money purposes for 1 year. That's your trade value. LeBron going to the Charlotte Hornets where he can win 20 games?
Well, let me just say this, Joe. There is a possibility. If he were to say tomorrow, I want to be traded somewhere. Let's just say that. Houston would be a team that I would think, because if they're interested in Kevin Durant at 37 years old, they would be interested in LeBron James at 40. And I'll just leave it at that.
Who are they trading for him then?
Well,
the Lakers are not just going to take your trash.
That would be the bigger question. But you're asking who might even be interested.
The answer is no one.
Okay.
No one. No one is trading their future assets for 1 year of LeBron James. No one. This isn't the 80s. This isn't the 90s. Okay? The TV contracts, salary cap setups. That's why they just signed a $70 billion TV contract. They're not going to, they don't need fans. You guys saw that during COVID. They don't need even fans. They're already getting their money. So saying, oh, well, Donald Sterling wouldn't mind back in 1988 bringing in LeBron for, yeah, that motherfucker would. That piece of shit would. But this ain't the same league. We're talking about 2025 now. No one is taking LeBron and his $50 million and giving the Lakers talent and draft picks, because that's what the hell the Lakers are going to ask for. That's how much value he has elsewhere. It's done. It's finished. Thank you. You did great in your career. Thank you for the title. It's time to move on in a year. And you start by this summer. You start building those blocks this summer. Luka's agent, get on it. And this doesn't look like anybody's answered that question, and I'm going to stop asking because you motherfuckers don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about.
So let's get to Joey's question. Hopefully, while we still have him as a subscriber, and once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. He's asking why you think Nick Claxton would improve the clutch performance late in games, Joe.
Maybe not the end of games, but he would be an asset during the game where they don't have to be struggling and zap their energy. There is always that case at the end of games in this particular era where the ball there needs to be a spreading out process because people are on you. So that makes sense. But during the season, during a 48-minute game, there becomes a lessening of certain things, energy-wise, performance-wise. So I'll give you an example. Andrew Bynum, JaVale McGee, both were integral parts of a rotation of continuity and who didn't finish games. But they were so integral in getting kind of the setup going. Game in, game out. There was a familiarity. There was a consistency. And then when it came to the end of the games, what ended up happening was you got more of AD shifting over to the 5. You had LeBron staying at the 4 or going to the 4 from the 3 when JaVale wasn't playing. You had that one series against Denver in 2020 where Dwight was used more, but that was really the only series. When you had Bynum back in the back-to-back championships, he would start the games. Powell would start at power forward. Then at the end of the games, Lamar Odom would drop to the 4 and Powell would go to the 5. That is continuity. That is an identity. That is putting your opponent in a position where they have to continue to adjust. Even if they know what's going on, they have to adjust. A good example, what happens when Derrick Henry starts to get rolling in the 4th? When everyone's tired. Same situation. Different concept, but you want that team to know, oh, we're starting out with Bynum, we're starting up with JaVale, but our best lineup is coming at the end of the game, and you can't stop it.
Just to let everybody know, there's 3 years left on Claxton contract, and it goes 25. It is decreasing, which is a good thing, but it goes 25, 23, and 20 million, respectively. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that. So if that's the case, I want to get to you guys as far as your thoughts an hour in. It is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro. Remember, he has his company, Simblades with a Y.com. His game, that's now available that you can get for PC on Steam. Titled Corrupt, Coreupt, and then, of course, Joe Soro channel on YouTube. I want to hear your thoughts on trades. So while we get our thoughts, and I compile some of the trades here that have already been talked about, and you guys put that in the chat as well. Joe, are there any trade targets for you? You have often said in the past, Orlando as a possible destination for a offensively starved team. We have two offensively minded players in Rui and Austin, which we might be interested in trading. Your thoughts, Orlando or another destination maybe has entered your mind?
The difficult part is what team would likely work with the Lakers to get a deal that the Lakers will be able to provide them what they want. Does that first round pick have a lot of value? Do the expiring contracts have a lot of value? They do, but it would likely have to go to a team that needs to shed salary. So you want to pick a team that is desperate to shed salary. And a few of those teams are actually contenders.
Mhm.
We know they're not going to sign Naz Reid in Minnesota when he's a free agent. They're not going to have enough money.
Nikhil Alexander-Walker, which is a favorite
He's
of
going to be
Magic
gone.
fans.
Those two are likely going to be gone. So Alexander's probably not going to just, I mean, I guess he could sign for the MLE, which would be great. That's a player that would work. Naz Reid won't. Naz Reid will get 20 to 30 mil, somewhere around there, right?
Mhm.
Lakers can't sign him, so they would need to do some form of a sign and trade.
Sign and trade, yes.
There's so many teams that could work a sign and trade to help, I guess, get something out of it, right? They'll want to do that if Minnesota can to get draft capital, whatever. But I've racked my brain on this. It's too early to really know where they're looking and who's willing to work with them. Orlando was the easy route because I felt someone like
Jonathan Isaac. I had mentioned Carter or Gogo Batazzi to increase their front line.
Yes, that seems to make the most sense because Orlando has to do something. Orlando is in that kind of mud right now that
you and I score more than Orlando.
But who do the Lakers have that would enhance their scoring? Do they have to drop Connect in there to get Jonathan Isaac?
No, well, it would, based on salaries, you would have to go with the Rui, Austin Reed's package, Joe.
And does that now becomes a lateral move? You eliminate.
Well, that becomes a larger deal where you get more than one player, Joe. It would involve getting more than just Isaac. I think I proposed a breakdown. I think at one time I included Isaac. I think I included Batadze. I think was it Black or was it Cole Anthony? I think I included one of them. The way the money works, you have to spread out. It's like a three. You get rid of Vincent or you package Vincent along in the deal, Joe, and then you would probably you can get back 3 or 4 players in return from Orlando. Your defense gets a lot better, but yes, you would consider it a lateral move.
Probably.
But your size gets a lot better.
The Lakers, knowing the Lakers, I don't think they're going to want to get rid of Rui and Austin unless it's for a star.
Okay. Well, there's a ticking clock with both those players.
Actually, I should say that. I think Reeves they want to keep. Rui, I think they'd be able to move. I think they'd be willing to shop around this summer freely.
Well, we've talked about Reeves. He is going to be offered an extension. I think based on his what the Lakers can do because of a salary, they can only offer him up to 140% of a raise, I believe. And I think that's the case. He's going to most likely he's going to say no, I'm not interested in it, and thus may try his chances to become a UFA in 2026. Whatever the Lakers can offer him on an extension is most likely not going to be desirable enough for him this summer.
And the West teams it's going to be much, unless the West team that they trade with thinks that they have an advantage to advance. I don't see any West teams. So we're going to have to more than likely stick to East Coast teams on a deal this summer for someone like Rui. to enhance the roster in areas they need to, and they may have to sacrifice Rui. It's probably going to have to be an Eastern Conference team because I don't even see Portland making a deal. Definitely not Sacramento. I don't know what it would take. I don't. And as far as Reeves is concerned on an extension, I don't see him making more than $20 million if they do sign him to an extension.
I see it as more. I see it as more. If he signs for 20, that's a Laker discount right there.
Yeah, well, this is the third playoff in a row where he came up lame a little bit.
I understand that, but he also, if you're his agent, you're touting the fact that he's a 20-point scorer in the league and only the third undrafted player to do so. I'm just saying, I'm giving you the devil's advocate. I'm not saying otherwise. Yes, I know he hasn't performed well in the playoffs. We've covered that extensively here. Just telling you, if you're looking at through the eyes of his agent, through 29 other teams in the summer of 2026, when a lot of teams will have cap space or projected to anyway.
And I don't know what Chicago's always the team that people seem to navigate to, but
Bloodhound. Good point. Well, Van Vliet got $40+ million from Houston.
Van Vliet was a champion and a catalyst as a champion, and Houston wanted a leader to lead a bunch of young players. That there's cachet there. I mean, that's apples and oranges. That's not a good comparison.
All right, if you say so, okay.
But, Giddey is more talented than AR, guys. I'm sorry, but he is. So
Mark will be glad to hear that. So,
with all due respect to Mark, this has nothing to do with making people feel good. This is what it is.
Okay. I'm just saying what he'll probably be asking for. Again, he'll be offered a contract extension by the Lakers, but my assumption is that business-wise, it would probably be better for him to turn it down and then become an unrestricted free agent, which leaves the Lakers in a little bit of quandary whether or not they should try to go ahead and trade him sooner when he has a higher value, or by the trade deadline while he still has some value left, even though he is on his way out, if that would be the case. So, some decisions.
I have a feeling that the Lakers are going to go after a big star. Maybe not this summer, but they're going to plan for it next year.
So let me bring this to the table. You guys have mentioned it in the chat. Certain player that actually at the end of John's video, and again, please check out John's video on Clutch Talk and Lakers Corner on possible center targets. It was something he put a lot of time and effort into. Hopefully you guys check that out. But he did mention Giannis. LakerTom every single day mentions Giannis. He mentioned with all of his crazy trade scenarios, it can be done. If the Lakers decide to sell the farm, yes, it can be done. B, why would Milwaukee take that trade over anything, let's say a Houston or several other teams with more assets will want to give? So your thoughts on that? It would have to be because Giannis specifically asks to go to Los Angeles, Joe.
Oh, yeah, that would be. And I talked to Empire Jeff about this. Milwaukee, I had told him, I said, Milwaukee has done everything they can to make him happy. And I haven't heard anything negative coming out of his camp.
Yeah, but even he sees the writing on the wall.
But again, Jeff said something that made sense, right? He's like, his issue now is time. He's running out of time, and he wants to continue to win. So
he's 31. He's playing on an old team that got even older with Lillard and the Achilles tendon.
Yes. So now Giannis, I'm with Jeff on this. Jeff thinks that if Giannis goes to the front office and says, I'd like to go to the Lakers, they would probably oblige.
I think they would, but that's only if he asks, because if they just said, trade me, if he said, trade me to a contender, Houston would immediately trounce any offer the Lakers could possibly give. Or there's a number of teams, Oklahoma City, another teams that have a myriad of assets more than the Lakers do. But if he specifically says the Lakers, I think Milwaukee would do the right thing.
We have to wait till this season is over to really understand things, because a little bit of me thinks if Boston flames out, do they talk to Milwaukee and give them either Jaylen Brown or Tatum?
Mhm.
because they're going to want to shed some salary too. They're going to shed salary whether they win or not. New ownership's going to come in, and because if they keep their team right now as constructed, their salary for a single season with all of the luxury tax and all the penalties will be $500 million. That is going to happen. Drew Holiday will be gone. White will be gone, in my view. Those guys are going to get traded, and I think it's likely going to happen this summer. Oh, I'm sorry.
Legendary.
I'm sorry. Maybe they keep White, but they definitely they're going to try to move Porzingis, which, by the way, I heard a small rumor about maybe the Lakers might be interested in that. Which I just heard a rumor. I don't know if it has any basis.
He'll be a free agent in 2026, just to give you an idea, Joe. Porzingis. So, Legend, again, you're right. If OKC has an early flame out again, they might look to move for Giannis.
That would be the best spot.
Giannis,
That would be the best spot. And I would say if I had bets going, I would say Giannis going to Oklahoma. I don't know if the thing is, I don't know if Giannis wants to go to Oklahoma City. I think he wants to go to a big market next. But let's say
is
he
Houston
does.
big enough? Because Houston has enough assets to do it.
I don't think he's going to want to play with someone that's a star too. And there's no stars in Houston.
Okay.
I believe if he is willing to play for another small market team, it makes absolute perfect sense for both teams for him to request a trade to OKC, because him and Shea Gilgeous now become a different beast.
Josh Giddey, again, guys, he is a restricted free agent. So even if he goes and grabs a deal, let's say the Lakers offer him, 20, 25, $30 million, the Bulls would have the right to match it if they haven't already discussed options for Giddey already. And I'm assuming because the trade that they already made with OKC on it, and they didn't get a first-round pick, they got nothing else but Josh Giddey for Alex Caruso. They're very inclined to keeping Josh Giddey on the Bulls for quite some time. So I don't see him moving personally, unless they are really tired of his act. And I didn't gather that even as they were being eliminated from the playoffs. So I'll say that. But guys out there, let us know who you were thinking as far as in the trade. I'll throw one out there, Joe. If the Knicks, who are up 1-0 as we're talking, if something happens and they flame out, the Lakers, I did put this out one day. I was on playback with Vari, aka Sports Baby, and we discussed the Knicks as a possibility for an Austin, Rui, Gabe Vincent, I think, and it worked out where the Lakers would get back Mitchell Robinson, Bridges, Mikal Bridges, and McBride. So while you guys put that in there as far as your thoughts on the trade possibility out there, I mean, is that something you'd even entertain? I understand that the Knicks probably would say no because they gave up so many picks for Bridges, but money-wise, it does work out.
Probably not, especially if they beat Boston. Same thing with the Pacers.
Well, if they beat Boston, that changes everything, and I get
everything will change depending on who wins and loses in this run. Oklahoma City, if they flame out against Denver, which I don't think they will, I think they're going to win the series. But even if they win the series and lose, even I don't know. I don't think you can say no to Giannis. If you even get to the finals and lose, you have to win it all, I think, to probably stay with what you want. But I don't think Oklahoma City is going to win it all.
No joker. Miles Turner is a UFA. So as an unrestricted free agent, the only way you would be able to work a trade with what the Lakers can do with their limited salary options, because they're right now in the first tax apron, would be a sign and trade option for them. So whatever you sign him for, $30 million, because he's going to ask for and probably get between 30 and 35, because you see him blocking shots and hitting threes right now. Still can't rebound, but blocking shots and hitting rebound and getting threes, that's an asset a lot of teams would like. And I know Indiana, is the farther they go, Joe, the less likely they're going to probably get rid of Miles Turner.
The win today was a massive blow to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
That one was they had that game in their pocket. Garland was out. Everyone was out. They had this, and they would have gone into Indiana with so much confidence when everyone else was back. They probably win the series, but now they're going to have to win both games in Indiana to have a chance. And if I had to predict, honestly, and knowing my team, I know the Lakers, I really, really feel like if they really want a second star once LeBron retires next year, I think they're going after Giannis. And they'll have even more assets to do it next year.
Now, I'll ask you this, Eric. You're the second person to talk about this and ask about DeAndre Ayton. He is the very mercurial DeAndre Ayton, former #1 overall draft pick, which occasionally, even this past season, Joe, he showed a little bit of that at times. The problem is he is very mercurial, and you do not know which DeAndre Ayton you're getting from one day to the next. A dominant 25 points, 15 rebound, 2 block shot guy, or are you getting the guy who's pouting at the end of the bench? So I don't know. Is Ayton a possibility? Because he is paid. Let me go ahead. I know he's paid really well. I will go ahead and bring it up, but I don't know how long his contract is for. I'm going to look it up right now. Your thoughts on DeAndre Ayton while I bring that up?
I think Ayton has another year in his contract. He's making around 35 mil, I think.
Yes, you are correct. 35. Yes.
I was in support of getting Ayton. Now, Ayton does have a weak constitution. Putting it lightly. However,
but 35 million comes off your salary cap if you don't like what you see in 26.
Correct. Now the question there is what do the Blazers want for him? If it's only players, okay. And do we throw a first round pick for Ayton? Especially if you're still wanting to go get that second star?
I wouldn't, because does Portland just want to just have that salary come off, or do they just want I think you could talk them into it as far as just players.
The Lakers have a lot of options. I have no doubt that there's going to be an adjustment to the new demand of the CBA, and this side of things, because Luka is here, the advantage flipped, because you already have a budding star, a superstar on your team that's about to go into his prime squared, and there's going to be people that are going to want to play with him and also earn a max contract, which will be available when next season ends. Even if the Lakers don't move anybody, their expiring contracts are going to drop by almost 100 million. So a lot of opportunity next summer for things to happen so that the Lakers can build the next phase of this. And I don't see how they're not going to go after a superstar. Now, if they
always do.
They do.
They always do.
And it makes so much sense. This thing is playing out so perfectly with how the contracts are ending, 2026, regardless if they make trades or not. I believe they're going to keep that flexibility to some degree. And then the Lakers are going to go after that next guy. They're going to go and they're going to go, all right, it's a 2-star league. Let's make it happen. What's up?
So funny, because you had Lakers fans who there are some Lakers fans, they're very small, who say, you know what, we should not always go for the big star. We should grow from within, draft well, et cetera, et cetera. They were probably loving it in the 2017, 2018 era. It was like, oh yeah, it's not looking great right now, but we've got all this young talent we're collecting. It's really going to be a good team. But you and I both know what happens. LeBron accelerates that, forces the trade for AD. Obviously worked out with the championship, which we're very happy about. The Lakers always go star hunting. It's just unavoidable for this regime that owns the Lakers. It's just what Dad Bus did, and what Jeannie. Oh, that's all she knows. That's all they know is just going after the big stars, and but while trying to stay as budgeted as close to a decent budget as they can.
Well, let's look at the history of the LA Lakers again. For those of you
Mhm.
who don't remember or haven't been on the show in the recent past where we went over this. So since the Lakers' acquisition of Wilt Chamberlain, which resulted in at least one championship, they ended up going to three other finals, so four finals total with Wilt Chamberlain as a late career acquisition. And if a couple things bounce their way, they end up maybe winning the 69 championship. They lost in 7 to the Knicks in 1970. They won in 72. So it was that close, right? To where it could have been even bigger than what they already got, right? Winning a title, I guess, was at least it didn't go for nothing. Then you move forward to 1975. You get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who wanted to come back west, where he used to play at UCLA, and they trade him for a package of guys that a lot of people don't remember. I think it was Holland and Junior Bridgman, God rest his soul, and a package of other guys. And that took a minute to kind of get itself going until Magic arrived. And then that resulted in 5 championships. Then you move forward to the 90s when Magic retired. The Lakers did work themselves into a draft focus.
Brian Myers, you're right. Myers, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
They drafted Vlade, when Magic was still there, obviously. They drafted Eldon Campbell, but then they ended up drafting guys like Eddie Jones, guys like Nick Van Exel, guys. They acquired other players that were huge, integral parts of that team, guys like Sabalas. And they made a run, a small run that wasn't championship worthy, but they were entertaining. That was when the term Lake Show was born. The Lake Show between 1992 and 96. That was the Lake Show. And they had some memorable series against San Antonio. They had a really good series against Seattle. They took them out in the first round. They had a near miss of a win against the Suns, went up 2-0 against Phoenix, in Phoenix, 2-0. The year Phoenix went to the finals. Almost beat them in game 4. Should have won that game, but ended up losing in 5. But then what happened? They went and got Shaq. After that, they went and got Pau Gasol. After that, they got LeBron James. After that, they got AD. This team is going to stick to the superstar method because for 60 years now, that's what's worked. And every single one of those transactions has resulted in an NBA championship, whether it's 1, whether it's 2, or whether it's 5. So history tells us that the acquisition of Luka Doncic will result in at least 1 championship. We can't guarantee it. It might be the anomaly that doesn't happen, but it's not likely. Because the Lakers' structure right now, salary structure, is pointed at a year from now opening up opportunities. And if you want to build through the draft, good luck. Drafting at 20, drafting at 18, drafting at 23 doesn't necessarily work in building championship teams. You either have to fleece somebody out of a trade, or you usually have to get a top 5 pick to usually make a difference. There have been certain years where that wasn't true, but not very much. I believe before, and we did a show on this, I think the first year I was on here, from 1979 until 2019, so that 40-year window, every single team that won a championship had at least one top 5 pick. It wasn't until 2019 where that broke. And that was because Durant got hurt. Klay Thompson got hurt. If those guys don't get hurt, it's just not being very realistic that the Golden State Warriors would have lost that series. So even in that sequence, it needed a complete overhaul of the other team dying for them to win it with a team that didn't have a top 5 pick. The top 5 pick is integral in the NBA. This is not the NFL. This isn't baseball. But the NFL is the one I like to use the best. You can draft an all-time great in the 6th round. You can draft, other than Jokic, you haven't really seen anybody get picked that late, and become this multi-MVP. Like Jokic is the only one I can remember. So yeah, it's going to be difficult to build around. Plus, the Lakers don't have patience for it, and I don't disagree with them. This team.
That's the number one key you just said there. Patience. The Lakers just
they
don't
tried.
have the
They
patience.
tried, guys. They really, really tried. They did. That's why they were losing. They were losing, and they were trying to put things together. But the problem was, Lonzo Ball wasn't a star. D'Angelo wasn't a star. Randall wasn't a star. None of these guys are stars. They were very good players. They made All-Star. Brandon Ingram isn't a star. They're All-Stars. They made the All-Star team. It would have been cool to watch them, much like we watched the 90s Lake Show. They probably would have won a series if they had stuck together. Imagine this. Imagine if they'd stuck with Zubac, and imagine if they'd stuck with Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and Randall and all those guys. And it would have been fun, right? We built from within. But is that team put together? Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, does that team really win a championship? Probably not. You still factor in Caruso and the KCPs. That's correct. But you look at the winners of. I'm just going to stay within this century. I'll run it. I'll run it through. I'll run it through right now. Okay. 2000, 2001, 2002. You guys already know what happened there. 2003, Spurs. 2004, Billups. Although I think the Pistons had very good players and didn't have any great players, that's probably maybe the only one, right? With them winning, what had to happen, right? There had to be a complete implosion by the Lakers to make that work. After that, it's 2005 Spurs. 2006, you had Shaq and Dwayne Wade. 2007, you had the Spurs again. 8, you had the Boston team. 09, 10, you had the Lakers team with Powell and Kobe. 2011, you had Dallas, which you could say had one star, right? Still had a star. 2012, Miami. 2013, Miami. 2014, Kawhi Leonard, Duncan, Manu, Parker. 15, 16, and so on. You guys are getting the gist of this, right? So you got to have that top-notch talent. Now, I look at the Golden State teams, and when I say top 5, that one was a little tricky because the guy that was picked in the top 5 on that championship team, let's say in 15, was Andrew Bogut. So that one stuck in there. But the integral parts, right? The big 3, none of those guys got picked in the top 5. But there still was a top 5 pick on that team, which was Andrew Bogut. And then obviously in 17 and 18, they had Durant, who was picked second. So there's a little bit of maneuver there. Again, I'm not trying to be coy about that. But the point is, the roster has, even if he's not the 1 or the 2, still had a top 5 pick on it to win, and he was a starter.
I know you guys said Zubats. I'll just say this. This is the best year he'll ever have. 17 and 13, top 5 defensive player of the year voting. But a lot of that, again, is based off of who is getting him the ball in what positions. Remember, he is a guy on the offensive end that feeds off of either playing the pick and roll with Harden, or B, getting a lot of his stuff underneath as far as rebounds, putbacks, things like that. So I don't think you could consider him a top option as far as offensively for a team. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know Lakers Empire. I think this is the best you're going to see Zubats, especially if Harden leaves. Harden leaves. That's probably going to decrease his numbers a little bit because they just play so well together. Harden's arrival, for whatever you say about Harden and playoffs and all that stuff, which is true and it's very much warranted. His arrival accelerated Zubats' career. I'm hoping I'm wrong because I like the kid. I thought that was one of the Lakers' worst trades of all time, but we're not going to get him back anytime soon. So we'll just go ahead. Yeah, I know Empire. You could throw all those stats. That's nice. That's very convenient that you can remember that. And he is statistically one of the best defenders on Jokic, but we're not getting him back anytime soon. He's not walking through that door. But he is probably about the best that you've seen him play is this season. So
JY Andre Iguodala was picked by the Philadelphia 76ers in 2004. He was picked 9th in the draft.
Yeah. Empire,
he wasn't picked by the Warriors.
Yeah, again, Zubats you probably saw the best of Zubats this season, a career year for him. Which, again, if he stays anywhere near that level for Warriors scum, good for him. But you had a great young core. Yes, the Lakers did have a great young core, but they traded it in for Anthony Davis, and we got a title out of it. So you guys got to be grateful for that. Again, would you like several years of being a good, very good team? Some of you do. Some of you guys would like to be a very good team for many, for a few years, 5 to 7 years, but never winning a title. Some of us like title wins, and AD brought us a title. So you have to come to grips with that. LeBron and AD brought us a title. So anything on top of that is gravy on top of that. But getting back to what you guys think as far as trade possibilities, before we head out, I'd like to go ahead and, again, you guys want to hear your thoughts on this. You guys spout trades all day long. LakerTom spouts trade all day long. Want to hear your thoughts, though. Again, let's hear some thoughts about trade options for the Lakers that we haven't talked about yet. We've talked about possibilities for in Orlando, New York, Utah. Any other options that you've seen out there, Joe, that may have piqued your interest?
No, I don't. They're gonna try to patch this together as best they can for one more year. I just feel that they're gonna wait for a star.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel is gonna happen here. I just don't know if there might be something this summer. What if Giannis says this summer I want out and I want to go to LA? That could set the offseason on fire.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not counting that out either. There's a possibility it could happen.
One team I know they won't be dealing with, Joe, not because they don't like any of the players, but I don't think Nico Harrison could take the PR hit of trading again with the Lakers anytime soon.
No, probably not. And I don't think there's really any realistic talent that they'd send our way anyways.
Yeah, Gafford or Lively. Or probably Gafford.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it happens. Yeah. So I know that still gets suggested every now and then. I'm like, okay, you saw how much Nico got destroyed in this last deal with the Lakers. I don't think he's going to serve himself up for that again. But no, Joker, truly appreciate the.
Well, he took the hits, but I still will say to the end of time that this was not his call.
Yeah, I know that it wasn't his call, but again, he's the front facing of it, as far as that's concerned, because of what was on the line and what would have been on the line as far as an extension. But no, Joker, thank you so much again. $50, truly appreciate it. He says it's probably his last super chat for a while. We are most appreciative of it. Thank you so much for doing so. But Joe, again, just a great conversation with you and everyone out there. Great to hear your thoughts. Any guys, before we head on out, any Any thoughts out there on some teams that you think realistically could be an option for the Lakers on a trade? Because that's one thing I think Lakers going to have to do, Joe. If they want to improve marketably this offseason, it's going to have to be through trade. There's no free agent walking in through this door at 5.6 million or a veterans minimum that's going to realistically change the Lakers. There you go. So, are you commenting on M24's comment?
Random.
That's what I thought. That's so random.
That's funny. I don't know why.
I won't repeat that to our audio audience. I'll just leave it at that.
Why'd you say that?
Hey, he's had a rough day. He's had a rough day.
Who?
He almost got killed by a tornado today. So he's.
Mission?
Yes.
But
legitimately, because he told me this about an hour before he went on the air.
Oh man. Oh, Pelicans are a mess. They will trade everything they want.
Well, the first name they will try to trade, no joker, is CJ McCollum. And I know that the Lakers would not be interested in that, Joe.
Probably not.
Herb Jones.
I feel comfortable in saying that look for Zion to get traded.
You think the Lakers could be a destination as that star you're clamoring for? Still thinking about that fart.
That would be a very bad addition in my view, because now you have two guys that have a reputation for not being in shape on the same team. So you'll get a lot of memes of the fat boys and all that stuff going on. Zion, we talked about this before the deadline ended this year. There would have to be some way you could ask Zion if that deal could go through. You have to be able to ask Zion and have him convince you that he will be about it. But I don't know if he ever will. I don't think I don't know necessarily if it's something I'd want to risk, especially with things lingering right now out of Milwaukee. I wouldn't chance it, because he's still making. He'll be making $40 million the next 3 years, and there's no opt out. There's no anything there, unless the Lakers acquired.
He's only 24, Joe. He's only 24.
Believe me, he is talented, but I still say that he needs to get down to 240. If he goes down to 240, and stays there and is focused to play, then he could be something big. But I don't know if he's done damage. I don't know if it's too late. Maybe he might have damaged his body already too much. I don't know. It's not worth it. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it.
Nick T has said getting a lockdown defender like Herb Jones, and of course, Nick T, as expected, threw in his I should say, because he's a super stan of him, his lifelong admiration for Kelly Olynyk. So your thoughts, Herb Jones and Kelly Olynyk, does that move the needle any way, shape, or form for you?
Better than what we have now.
Okay.
Yeah. Just make sure that whatever you give back isn't too much. That's going to be the important part. And the two-star structure is going to be a necessity. You have to probably have at least 2 stars to be a contender year in and year out. Otherwise, you'll make a run. You win a couple series maybe, but it won't be perennial. It won't be you're going to the finals every year. The Lakers need to get a second guy. Let's say if they were able to get Giannis, right? They're not going to be able to get him until next year anyways, because they're not going to have enough money or talent to trade anyways. I mean, I guess they could trade everybody.
Oh, but why would you want to wait for if you're Giannis?
No, you're right. No, they could.
If he's going to leave, he's going to leave this summer.
So let's say he does, right? And that he demands. Let's say he demands a trade to LA. So the Lakers are going to trade everyone but LeBron and Luka, right? To get him. Okay. Then you're going to have to just go in the next year knowing that you're going to have 3 guys and a couple of players here and there, and you're going to try to make a run. And then you can start building around Luka and Giannis at the end of next year. Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do it.
Eric says, Gerald, is Joe Dumars is he going to sell as a GM? I know he wants to get rid of CJ McCollum like yesterday, Eric. But I don't think there's any takers out there for that bad of a contract, which, to be fair, is, you know what? I want to correct that because next year is his expiring and it's at 31 million. So if you are somebody that wants to take a lot of cap space off next summer, not this summer, but next summer, I could see someone maybe doing that for CJ McCollum. But again, why would you want to do that? Because you may be, if that's the case, Joe Dumars may want to do that. But Joe Dumars could look at Zion, Joe, as the thing, because that's still 3 years left on his contract. Like you said, it's around 40 each and every year. Not the highest salary in the world, but how much longer do you have any patience for Zion, and who could, he's played 45% of his games or thereabout? How much more patience do you really have for Zion?
I don't think New Orleans has any more patience. I would say this. I would call, if I'm Orlando, I would call New Orleans and try to see if you can get Zion.
Okay.
I think that would be worth a risk. It would put some excitement in Orlando. Hey, Zion is there. It's Florida, blah, blah, blah. As far as money-wise for Zion, it could be something beneficial. I'm just kind of throwing things on the wall at that point. I don't know if that really makes a difference, but they need his offensive prowess when he's available, and they'll have a quote-unquote, at least on paper, star with Pablo. And let's see if they can get lucky and maybe he gets his act together, because they could compete. They could compete very well out in the East with Pablo and Zion. That would be my thought on Zion. The Knicks,
which is where he wants to go, by the way.
I know, but the Knicks cannot risk. The Knicks cannot risk. The Knicks can't risk bringing another. I hate to use Carmelo as an example, but a name that doesn't really move the needle either, even if he's as good as he is. They need someone like a Giannis. And maybe they do. Maybe they go after Giannis if they flame out again. Because they do have the assets. They do have players and some draft picks that they can throw at it and get him.
They still have him on a two-way, guys, on Trey Jameson, but offensively, I don't see him as anything other than a third big on any team. There's a reason why New Orleans got rid of him in the first place. Again, offensively, he's not very skilled. He does have the big body at 6'9", 6'10", very strong. But yeah, he's just not very talented offensively, so he's not going to be able to move the needle for you there. But as a third big, you could sign for the minimum for next season. You could do worse. Yeah, 5 fouls on Jokic. There you go. But yeah, he's someone that's he's someone at the back end of your roster, and it will always be at the back end of your roster. Yes, he would be the goon, no jokers. If you don't get Nick T's favorite Kelly Olynyk, he would be the goon. There you go. Well, Nick T, he's not going to give you that much defense either. He's just not. He's not someone that's going to be a 25-minute to 30-minute player in the league. I mean, you guys are dreaming if you already think he's going to be that. So, If you've already seen and evaluated him, he is just, he's got some, he's got some limitations in his game. Plus, he shot 39% from the free throw line last season for the Lakers. So that's kind of rough. That's kind of rough. So, but yeah, as a third big, you could do worse. Good run. So, but you guys got to think bigger. Got to think bigger. Any other trade partners that you guys have before we head on out? It is again the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us. I think we'll come back with a show probably on Thursday. But let us know your thoughts before we head on out. Joe, any other things you've been pondering with Lakers land, or have you been focusing on the Dodgers' terrible relief pitching after Tanner Scott came in there, got the 1-2-3, and Dave Roberts proceeded and said, "You did so good. We'll put some in there and pour gasoline on the fire."
When they put Garcia in there, I knew things were going to go well. This is before Tanner Scott had to go in, and I vented to Jeff, and Jeff's, it doesn't matter right now, and all this and all that. I'm like,
it matters to me. Sorry,
I can't just. This is the 7th fucking 1-run loss they've had. Drives me nuts. I can't stand losing. Losing is an absolute disease. And some days it's the volume is a little higher in my head with it.
I am checking on Buddy Hield right now for you guys.
Buddy Hield has been non-existent until the last 2 games.
Essentially, yes.
Let it play out, guys. The answers to the questions tonight, most of them are going to be a wait and see thing to see what happens to certain teams, especially teams that underachieve. If Boston underachieves, which is not winning a championship, their favorite. If New York doesn't maybe at least get to the finals, if Oklahoma City flames out before the finals, there's a lot of activity in those places, I believe, next.
He has 3 years left on his contract. Last year is a player option. It's all around very team friendly, $9 to $10 million a year for him. So
I think John Morant might be moving also. I just don't know how that's going to play out.
You think anything would
I think John
Morant
to Houston. I think John Morant to Houston makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Because I think Udoka has a skill set that can connect with guys like that too.
Okay.
So look for Morant in Houston. I know trading within the conference isn't necessarily the norm, but I think that one might be a unique one where I think Houston might. They need a star over there, and I think Udoka has the capabilities of communicating with them. And
because Memphis will get a lot more expensive because Triple J is going to sign an extension. He is eligible for an extension.
Yeah, and they want that anchor. They want that pillar. Triple H is.
I don't know if he gets the Fun Max or the Super Max, but I think it might be the Super Max because he will
because he's going to be an All NBA player.
Yeah. So, and if you pay him, if Memphis decides to pay him, yeah, they got to break up that big three.
They have to break it up. Desmond Bane is a good player. They're gonna need a good haul from Houston. I just don't know who would they be willing to part, because you're still gonna need to trade some talent there. Mm-hmm. So what Houston sends back to Memphis, gone. If that's what
Green's
it is,
not the first option.
Are they giving Jalen Green up? Will they throw Reed Shepard in there? I don't think Amin is going to get traded because I think they think he's going to be a star.
I think Cam.
Cam definitely. That's somebody definitely that I think they'll throw in there. And then you have to remember they have a team option on Van Fleet next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this summer. Sorry, this summer. Yeah.
To answer your question, Jeremy, from what I'm seeing as far as the comments on Steph Curry, he has been listed day to day. He'll get an MRI tomorrow. Draymond Green asked if Steph Curry was good. When he walked out the floor, Curry told him, "I'll be back." So you have it there. Again, they'll do the MRI. They'll evaluate it. It's going to be a killer if he's going to be out any extended period of time, even if they get through the series. So, yeah, it is. It is. It is. Tough. So it's a bonus for Reeves. Okay, let's finish off. We've talked about Sabonis, Domantas Sabonis. Um, obviously, you're talking about a stat patter. He has been accused of being a stat patter in the past. Defensively, rebounding with him is obviously a good option. He's one of the best rebounders. He was statistically, I think, the best rebounder this past season. Good passer, can score a little bit, cannot shoot from the outside, even though he still tries to, even after all these years. I love the fact that his first year in the league with Oklahoma City, they stuck him out at the 3-point line. It was hilarious. Does not give you rim protection. So what are your thoughts on Domantas Sabonis? About 40-something million a year, I think, on his contract.
And Sacramento's going to do the deal. Why?
If they want to go tank.
Sure. If you decide that you don't want to go after Giannis or another star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case. They have a year to wait for LeBron to hopefully finish next year to go all out. I think they're going to wait. They'll build it as much as they can.
He has 3 years left, Joe. Goes from the low to the high 40s each and every year.
Yeah, it's a big number. It's basically switching the LeBron contract to Sabonis almost.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't consider Sabonis a star, a second star. He'd be more of a very, very good player. If LeBron was 3 years younger with Sabonis at the center with Luka, yeah, then that'd be a different story.
So with that, you guys headed off the boardroom. There you go at El Segundo right there at the UCLA Health Center for the Lakers front office. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you have any other thoughts, please put the comments below. If you're watching this after the fact, you can always send us your thoughts, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Joe, I know that you've got some good things coming up here in the not too distant future on the Joe Soro channel for the Joe Soro experiment. Any thoughts on that before we head on in?
No.
You don't want to advertise your channel or the playback channel at all?
You guys want to hear about everything? Come to the show. I should be on tomorrow. We'll discuss the series ending game, hopefully a win in Miami, and then some of the guys that are going to be going or are on the IL now, and what the Dodgers' next steps are on the starting pitching setup.
I'll just give you one last Dodger question. Could you see yourself starting to get mad at Dave Roberts again?
No.
You said you wouldn't after the championship.
No, Dave Roberts hasn't done anything to piss me off.
Not even today?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm just asking. I mean, it was his call to put in a new pitcher there for today. So, okay. Did Joe Soros say Luka's better than Jokic? Here we go. I don't remember ever hearing you say that, Joe.
He's the same guy that calls himself Dodger Empire.
Okay.
He's a clown.
Okay. I mean,
that's
Lakers Empire.
That's an insult to clowns too, by the way.
Yes. Lakers Empire. If you really want to get insulted to the point where we'll put a short up and you get 1,000 hits off of you being humiliated like Lakers Doomer did, please continue with the lies, because I don't ever remember hearing Joe say that Luka was better than Jokic. He said one of the best players in the league, but that Jokic was the best player in the league. Yeah, I think is what Joe's quoted saying.
Clowns are whatever. Fuck them.
I said the Dodgers stink. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but where do the Dodgers sit in the National League standings?
Well, they're one in their division, and they're behind, I think, the Mets in overall record.
No, actually, they are. They do have the best overall record. They got the best overall record in the major leagues, even with their loss today, Joe, because the Padres and Mets all lost. So you have the Dodgers have the best record in the Major League Baseball. So Lakers Empire, you're wrong again. So
Lakers Empire, your mother told me that she wished she had an abortion.
wow, that's a.
Poke the bear. Don't poke the bear, man.
Don't
As
poke the
loud
bear.
as loud as I'm on here, I'm much more vicious in real life.
Lakers Empire, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. You pale in comparison. Joe will humiliate you in front of 500, 600 views here, and if it goes viral, even more. So it's up to you. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. I'll leave it at that. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. Oh, he's going after Kobe now. Yeah, that's great. Go after a dead person. Yeah, that's just. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, that's really good. That's awesome, man. Classless. Lakers Empire, you're classless, man.
Hit a nerve, hit a target.
Yeah, he did. I think you think you did, Joe. I think you did. Yeah, when you go there with Kobe, yeah, you hit a nerve. Yeah, you hit a nerve. What's up, Win86? Glad to have you here. Yes, for all the new viewers. We saw a lot of new viewers today. Hopefully you liked and subscribed. Please do so. We'll be back with another show Thursday. We'll be back with shows. I'm trying to time it out. Maybe Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday-ish. I don't know about the Lakerholics. It's funny, Joe, because before we head out, they were all at the end of the season. Let's do an end of the season show, guys. Yeah, let's do an end of the season show. And then they forgot to set a time and a date for the season ending show.
Well, you know how those old timers are. They don't have their preparation H and their Mylanta. They don't focus on the right things when they don't have those things going.
Intel Wild, I don't think that's going to happen either. But again, we just need to have Luka be at an acceptable level of defense. He's so dynamic offensively, what he brings to the table for this team as a superstar. Again, you've got to build a team around him that accentuates his strengths and best plays off of his weaknesses. And we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, Intel, they need to create a funnel. I think most of the Laker fans these days don't remember D Fish in his turnstile defense. It helped the Lakers win. I'd say after 2001, after he had that ankle foot surgery, he was never the same on defense. So D Fish helped Troy Hudson and Mike Bibby to immense amount of money. However, they got the money and D Fish got the titles and the clutch shots. So
there you go.
You gotta look at the give and take here. Your fixation on Luka's defense is an excuse to make your argument relevant to something else that's the main problem. You're making excuses. You're allowing yourself to listen to a narrative that the media has continued to throw down your throat. And of course, the botched job of the Dallas Mavericks in criticizing the guy to PR themselves out of the problem that they didn't expect, apparently.
And with that, on D-Fish, it is the Lakers Fast Break. I want to thank everyone for watching this thing. No Joker, thank you again for the very generous, of course, super chat. Truly appreciate all the contributions you made, and everybody else with your thoughts on who the Lakers should try and trade for, and also free agency. Again, you guys can always go ahead and do so. LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com or right below in the comments, and we do get to it as well. So for Joe Soro, it's me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. We'll be back with the Joe Soro channel on YouTube for his experiment on Wednesday. And Thursday, I'll come back maybe with NBA observations or something special for you guys each and every time out right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
We're still going to be hanging out in the offseason, Joker. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah. We are draft shows.
We don't have off seasons here, baby.
Shows. Yeah, no.
We roll 365.
Wow.
366 during a leap year, of course, too.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of days.
Yeah.